Let me do. All right, with my hair all settled, and as you can see, Lal's hair, he's trying to change his look so he can get away with all the wrong predictions that he's been making. Also, the Czechs are after him. Now, Belgium, Switzerland, Ukraine, and even Czechs are out. Let's talk about a few highlights from this amazing quarterfinals. Not as amazing as the pre-quarterfinals. So first of all, Swiss goal machine, we can call him that. Xherdan Shaqiri's amazing Euros mean that he'll start for Liverpool next season in the English Premier League, and Mo Salah will be on the bench, and Sadio Mane will officially be the water boy. And he's been doing a lot of water stuff recently. Now, Czech Republic have officially sued Blunt Bastards pundit Paul the Octopus. Right now he's saying Paul who, he doesn't want to say who he is, that's Sadio Mane, and Paul the Octopus for performing voodoo on them, which has caused them to crash out of the Euros. Czechs want the entire 100 million check that we declared in the last podcast that Bhargav, no, sorry, I'm giving the original name, Paul the Octopus received from ESPN for making bad predictions, and he has been showing a lot of tantrums since then. He's cancelled so many podcasts of ours. He's behaving like Paul Pogba. Okay, he hasn't even gotten the check. Already Czechs are after him taking the check, but he's doing parties, illegal parties at his house in Toronto, and he's trying to make more money from that. So we don't know what's happening, but he's become like Paul Pogba. Moving on, Switzerland created an unwanted record by missing a hat trick of penalties, 3 penalties on the trot. Like before that, we've been seeing so many penalties just going in, and I mean for the penalty shootouts, right? Starting from the Manchester United when they lost to Villarreal in the Europa Cup final, they had 68 penalties before David De Gea's penalty got stopped. Now the fun fact is Euro 2020 has broken all the records when it comes to penalty misses and own goals. The final one is after England had scored thrice, it looked like Ukraine's legendary player and now coach Andrei Shevchenko was so charged up, it felt like he's all ready to tear off his fancy suit and get into the shorts and Ukraine t-shirt and come on as an attacking substitute. Well, he didn't come back, so it's time for us to let's kick the baby. Let's start with the first one. Switzerland and Spain totally lived up to the billing. Spain eventually won on penalties after it was locked at 1-1 even after the extra time. Now, if you see the stats, it's pretty clear that Spain had a lot more shots than the Swiss, but when I was watching it live, it's pretty evident that the Swiss were always in the game. They were always threatening to score, even when they went a man down in the 77th minute. Then they had to go through that 13-14 plus extra time. So there was almost an hour they went through, and Spain could not score. And to be very frank, the only goal Spain scored was the Swiss own goal, so they were lucky, definitely. Now, of course, Swiss really screwed up in the penalties, but that's just, if you miss 3 penalties on the trot, I mean, you're going to lose, because when Sergio Busquets missed the first penalty, I was like, whoa, this is happening to Spain, Switzerland are going to do it again. And then Rodri also missed the 3rd penalty, so it's not like Spain gave them so many chances, but still, they just scored 1 out of 4 penalties, and eventually Spain winning 3-1. Lal, what is your take on this game, and did you think that, just tell me your take about it.
Okay, first of all, guys, if you find someone was masquerading as Paul the Octopus, I don't know who, so find out. The Czechs are giving a big reward for someone who finds him. Anyways, coming back, so I think this game was, I loved the quarterfinals. Again, it lived up to the billing. We thought round of 16 matches were amazing, but I think quarterfinals equally were entertaining. Coming to this Spain and Switzerland match, I think you rightly summed it up. Spain gave Switzerland all the chances, but I think Swiss just didn't take it. I mean, France would be ripping their hair off that why did they not? Why did they take all their chances against us and not against the Spanish? But if you miss 3 penalties out of 4, you don't deserve to win. Coming into the knockout tournament like this, you have to, practice your penalties. You need to know who is going to take which penalty and all that. And it's just, I don't have words for it. I don't know whether you call it unprofessional or unpreparedness. Or I don't think it was nerves, because they were playing for 120 minutes. I think all the nerves would have been out by then. But yeah, Spain, not that Spain were amazing at penalties. But yeah, overall, in the balance of the game and how the two teams played in the tournament, I think I'm happier that Spain has progressed, and I think they'll give a tough test to Italy in the next round.
All right, fair enough. So, moving on to the next game, which was Belgium versus Italy. This was always going to be a firecracker. I don't know, but Belgium did not feel like a champion team. Italy looked more like the world ranked number one team, definitely not Belgium. Now, Lal, how much do you think Lukaku is to blame? Because bunch of people who always hate Lukaku, they're putting a lot of hate on him because he did miss a bunch of big fat chances, but it always just gets exaggerated because it was such a big game, but he did miss two very good chances. And what's your overall take on this game, apart from the fact that Belgium still aren't there yet?
I think people who've been following our podcast, I think would remember that when we were doing the preview, we did say Lukaku is not a big game player. He was coming into this tournament in the form of his life, and everyone was hoping that would change, but that didn't change. Lukaku did not perform against, he didn't perform against Portugal, he didn't perform against Italy, so he remains to be like a weak small team bully. He played amazingly well in the group stages, and people had high hopes. And I was surprised Kevin De Bruyne started. I thought he'll miss the match. And
yeah, I had given you that news because I was fooled by Martinez, who had said in the press conference that he'll not start, and then ESPN pundits were saying he will start. Don't believe him, and I was like, I believe him, and then guess who? I'm the dumb fuck. So yeah, he started. He seemed pretty good.
So I think I saw the team sheet and I thought, oh wow, like this is going to be tough for Italy to get past this lineup. I always thought it was going to be close, and the winner would be by an odd goal. Probably it would have gone in extra time, but it would have been that close. But turned out, Italians have been the most consistent and a team that I love to watch in the tournament. If you ask me who's my favorite team to watch in the tournament, it has to be Italy so far. Every team has been topsy-turvy, ups and downs. The good part about this Italian team is they know how to attack and they know how to defend. I thought Chiellini was way past his prime, but the way he controls the back line, it's just phenomenal. But the one big miss going into the semis against Spain, I think Spinazzola injured himself and he might not play. And
Mourinho is talking about it all the time. Mourinho is talking about it all the way, everywhere.
And he's been a critical, forward attacking player for them on that left hand flank. So it will be interesting, who they fill that gap with. But go Italy. I'm really, really for them. They're playing really well.
So two things on this thing. See, at the end, people might see, if you see the shots, eventually I think Belgium has a couple more shots or something, but that's because Italy eventually just parked the bus. Later on, they said, you know what, screw you, you can't score against us. And they couldn't. And about Lukaku, not just forget about Lukaku, I don't want to shit all over Lukaku, but deal is that, when you're a big team, right? You will have people who will score, and you will always manage to get through the group stage, right? The only difference it makes is when your big players score at the big stage. That's when you move up. That's exactly what's happening to England, right? Sterling scored. Kane was hopeless, right? Even against Germany, he was hopeless. Then he scored. He scored the second goal. That was done and dusted. But otherwise, Germany could have still come back. But after you get 2-0, they were just completely gone. Sterling scored. Kane scored. Then Kane scored again in the quarterfinals again twice. Okay, so those things matter when your big players score in those big matches. That matters. Also, when your big players score in big matches, everybody else also gets a bit of a lift from there. Yeah. Now, Kevin De Bruyne must have been still probably 85-90%, right? But he was still performing well. He was still shooting the ball and still seeing the passes, which no human can see. The crosses were coming through. But eventually something had to go in. But at the same time, I'm just going to say that, sometimes it's just pure luck. You jump and your head just little bit marginally does not fall right, and weird shit happened. But I think Lukaku again was working hard, but it just looks bad when you just, in retrospect, when you look at it. That picture which Bikram had put up, that is one of my favorite pictures, when the Martinez is looking other side. Yeah, this one. This is my favorite picture. Look, it's just I don't know what amazing photography. This is just beautiful stuff. That's why it's just amazing. And Insigne is going completely nuts. He's not bending over, by the way. Insigne is just 4 feet tall. That's exactly how tall he is. So he's not on his knees or anything.
And I think Martinez would be thinking, what do I do? What else can I do with this team? I have all the players at my disposal. Tactically, he's shown that in this tournament, Belgium can defend ugly, they can score, but somehow on the big stage, they choke. It's just crazy. It's like they're the South Africans of I mean, how South Africa are in cricket, they are, in football. Like they have great players, good team, play well in other places, but in big tournaments, they just choke at big stage.
As we've talked about before, see, that eventually only one team is going to win, no matter how amazing everybody else. So we need to always remember that. So this problem is not that Belgium misses out. The problem is that Belgium did not play like the world number team. That is the problem. So if you just go out and you just go guns blazing and you miss out, fine, fair enough. But they didn't play like that was a concern. Now I listened to an entire interview. It's a very long interview, from that perspective. Because normally interviews are 4 or 5 minutes long. Julian Laurence, who is your future ESPN pundit teammate, he interviewed him, and I think they know each other very informally. So they were just talking. I've heard Martinez before briefly, but I really liked him, and he was very practical. But one thing I want to tell you, and not elaborate too much, when Julian asked him about the World Cup, he was very non-committal, and this is before they were kicked out. He was very non-committal about the World Cup. So I don't know, he might walk out. I don't know. It's not sure, because Laurence asked him more than 2 times, and he kept saying, we'll see, we'll talk about it, we'll see, let's just play this tournament. I mean, it's just here, right? He has the contract. Why did he say, he could have just said okay? Yeah. He just wouldn't even say okay. So I was like, I think he might walk also, because I think they've been trying to put him in Premier League as well. So something might be
working in the background.
Yeah, I think if he feels that he can't take it forward, he might just mutually just say get somebody else in, because as you said, I've just kind of tried. He's very practical and I really like him. So I don't think it's because of Martinez they're not moving forward, but it's just he's just saying, listen, maybe something we're not able to do. They like me, everybody works, everybody likes me, I'm good coach, but it's not happening. Maybe somebody else can do it, because it can't get worse, right? Because it's already worse. All right, moving on to another big game, and this is Czech Republic, shivers to our pundit, versus Denmark. Now, Lal, I felt that, I know you and Czechs are at war like Israel and Palestine, but even you would agree that Czechs played with a lot of heart and a lot of fucking bandages. It felt like half of the team was just fucking broken, head broken, and they were still going for fucking headers. This is crazy stuff. I love these guys. And by the way, I just realized that Czechs have been very high ranked team in the 21st century. They were ranked number 2, ranked number 5 earlier in the 2005-06. Then also, I think few years ago also they were ranked number 2 or 3. So they've been big team. They came out all guns blazing in the second half. If you saw the second half, the earlier first 5 minutes, they could have scored 3 times. They scored once, and it was just beautiful to watch. But eventually, I think the 2-goal cushion just proved too much. What's your take on this game and your beloved Czechs and all the bandages that they had and the courage they showed?
Okay, I think all jokes apart, I think Czechs surprised me.
Be very careful what you say, Czechs because this is getting recorded. Yeah.
Yes.
Czechs they're listening right now.
Czechs really pleasantly surprised me. I wrote them off. I'm sorry to all the Czech fans. I really didn't give them too many chances to progress till the quarterfinals. And even in the quarterfinals, they really played well. As you said, they had chances, but the 2 goals in a knockout match, it just kills the game, right? Very rarely, I mean, we've seen some weird matches.
Switzerland.
Yeah, I know. But 2-goal cushion in a knockout match in a quarterfinal was just too much for them. But they could have scored 2. They played with a lot of heart. All credit to them. I think their manager should be welcomed, really greatly back in the Czech Republic. I think he did. He got the best out of this team. There were no superstars, but he kind of got 10% more from each and every player, from their maximum potential. And that's where they really played like a team. But I mean, give credit to Denmark as well, right? Denmark are a team. They are a human story. There is a lot of emotions. There's a lot of drama, and they've reached the semifinals, arguably without their best, most creative player on the field, right? And
we'll talk more about it. We'll talk more about it when we talk about the semifinals, in the semifinal segment that we have.
The fairy tale for Denmark continues, and it would have been harsh on either teams, whoever got knocked out, Czech or Denmark. I think both played really well. But yeah, I mean, good luck. I mean, commiserations to the Czechs, but they played well. They should be proud of the team.
Okay, wonderful. As I said, I'll come back to that. Now, the final match, England versus Ukraine. England wins 4-0. This turned out to be one of the most one-sided knockout games. The Harry duo scored a collective hat-trick, Harry Kane and Harry Maguire. That goal in the 4th minute, I felt personally that totally destroyed Ukraine, because you can see from two sides. One, if it's a goal, you get concede early, then it gives you a lot of time to come back. But when you're Ukraine, you're not a big team, it kind of changes your, like, it just becomes difficult. So because England is one team which if it scores early, particularly against a smaller team, they're just going to eventually end up dominating you. And the way Ukraine started the second half was just, just completely opposite how Czech started. It was completely awful. Then they conceded again a 46th in the 50th minute, which was almost like getting Shevchenko to get on the field as an attacking substitute. Lal, if England wins the Euros, I don't think I can speak with any Englishmen till they actually eventually completely screw up in the next World Cup. Because if England wins the Euros, their egos will break even the mighty record set by the French team before the Swiss kicked them out of the Euros. I have a simple question, then you can answer anything. What did you learn about England from this game? Was there any learning?
I think they are getting stronger as the tournament is progressing. They're peaking at the right time. All the parts seems to be fitting well. It's just that they've yet not been tested by a world-class informed team in the tournament so far. But I mean, it's not their fault. I mean, you can only play the opponent that you've been given on the pitch. But I think they're peaking at the right time. Defensively, they've not yet conceded a goal in the tournament, which is amazing, right? I mean, after so many
crazy,
matches, right? And the flip side, I always have this. Something in my gut tells me that the match that they concede their first goal, they'll lose. Now, whether that's the final or the semi-final, I'm not sure. If they concede a goal, I don't know if they'll be able to come back. So that's one thing to watch out for. But yeah, I think Southgate is now he's found his team. Now he's found his identity. 4 at the back, 2 holding midfielders, 2 attacking, wide men out of the back 4. That's it. And he can play and Harry Kane up top, and the 3 behind Harry Kane, he can change it up because there are so many players. Raheem Sterling is his go-to player. I don't think he will play till the time he retires now for Southgate, as long as Southgate stays. So I think it's just a question of 2 positions where you can play with Mason Mount, Grealish, Sancho, Rashford. There's so many players that we can talk of. But yeah, I think England have found their identity. That would be my biggest takeaway from this match. And Maguire has come back into the team. Defensively, he's looked solid. And I mean, the amount of headers that he wins is just insane. He doesn't score, like we discussed last time. He doesn't score many, but he's a great player to have in the opposition box when you are having set pieces, free kicks, corners. So yeah, all good for England.
Yeah, it's the extra that he does, because he covers up for his lack of pace, because that is obviously a concern. But then he's solid in the back. Otherwise, apart from pace, you can't change it. Some people just slow. Sergio Busquets, have you seen? He has less muscles than I do. It's crazy. So now that we were talking about this thing, I was going to talk about Italy and Spain. So that was number 5. But let's just stick to England, and let's do the England versus Denmark first. Now, what I was thinking that. You already said what England's going to do, right? We all know what England's going to do. They're going to be solid at the back and hope they're fabulous, and now totally informed forward line gets them the winning goal or many goals as they did against Ukraine. That was always the formula. It just wasn't working at the beginning, but they were not losing. Now, England, as you said, England hasn't conceded a goal, which is some sort of fucking record in Euros. I'm pretty sure that's a definite record, particularly a record for a same goalkeeper in 5 matches. Now, if I were Denmark, I gotta stick to what has worked for me. Okay, that is attack, and attack. Because when the Danish parked the bus, which they did against Czechs also, They look out of shape and they look terrible. I mean, it just doesn't seem to work. It just looks very shaky. I mean, I know it's a risky strategy to go attack against England, but as you said, they have not conceded. I simply can't see Denmark beating England if they play on the counter, because with 60,000 crowd and mostly English fans at Wembley, Denmark can't let England dictate terms and score an early goal like they did against Ukraine. Just the way you said, if England concedes, if England scores against these idiots, even not 14, 24, 34th minute, they're not going to go down, okay? They have not conceded. Lal, please be English coach and then Danish coach and tell me how you will beat the opposition in, because this is a bit of a tough question, but we know, and if you disagree with what I said about the Danish team and if you have different view on this.
For England, it's easy. Nothing changes. If it ain't broke, why fix it, right? For England, just play the way they are. Southgate as a coach will not be will not put out a team or tell the team to do anything differently. That, if it's so-called quote unquote lesser opposition, go and attack. No, it's not in Southgate's DNA. He will continue to play like this. Back 4, 2 holding, 3 behind Kane, and that's it. And just go for it. Defensively solid. So Southgate's plan is pretty simple, easy to understand, done. Denmark, they have nothing to lose. Okay, zero. No one expected them to be in the semi-finals. They would have they would have taken it at both hands if they said you will make it to the semi-finals. They have absolutely nothing to lose. It's their one shot to reach a final, and they should play all out. Even if they lose 4-0, there is no shame in it. But they should play their natural attacking game. They don't have players to defend or park the bus for 90 plus minutes. They don't have, and you can't change your DNA or identity for one knockout match suddenly and be on top of your concentration powers for 90 plus minutes. You are bound to slip up. Energy levels go down. England, even if there is no, like, it's 0-0 till 70 minutes, they can throw on a Grealish, they can throw on a Sancho or a Rashford, freshen it up, and I don't know who will Denmark throw from their bench to continue defending, right? So Denmark's game plan has to be simple: attack England as much as they can, and try and score the first goal. That's paramount. If England score the first goal, it's going to be very difficult for Denmark, given England's solid defensive record. But Denmark, I mean, one thing that I have to tell them is don't park the bus, play your natural attacking game, and go at it. Like, there is no shame if you lose.
All right, so all you said was exactly what I said, so you're just wasting a lot of viewers' time. And you've been saying a lot, and I've been noticing you've been saying certain things like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is exactly what Steve Nichols speaks. And then you had another phrase earlier. You are now already becoming too ESPN for us. You're already like quit us before even quitting us. Now, because people are bored, so I have to give fun fact. Because people are so bored, so I have to give 2 fun facts. First fun fact is, if Denmark wins the Euro, a special category of awards will be created. It will be called Hand of God. Player of the tournament. It will be given to Christian Eriksen. And he might even come off the bench, because they're asking who's going to come over there. Christian Eriksen just rises up, like, okay, I'm here. You're like, what the hell is happening here? All right. Now the fun fact too is even more funny. Gareth Southgate has suddenly become the greatest coach in the history of football. If you see any podcast with English people in there, they just love him. Okay, 5 days ago they hated him, and the Queen of England, who is just 172 years old, has already knighted him and re-Christianed him as well. Re-Christian just means first name. Him to Sir Gareth Southgate. Okay, Southgate. Now, don't worry, he'll soon fall from grace and get million death threats right after Denmark demolishes England in the semis. So, don't worry, this is England. This is how they work.
I think whatever happens, Southgate has secured his contract renewal. He's going to stay till the World Cup for sure. Because remember, right when we were doing the preview, England were bookies' favorites. I did say that if they go out, I mean, if they were able to get out of the quarters and reach the semis, it's a big achievement for them. Great job done. It's a big achievement for them. But now the expectations are so high because they are on the favorable side of the draw that they have to minimum reach the final. And yeah, I mean, Southgate can go down as the greatest manager in English history, which is hard for me to even say it out loud.
Oh yeah, that's the fact. Let's just wait, like hold our judgment on Southgate. Now let's talk about Italy and Spain a little bit, because this is something which I was supposed to talk before, but then we kind of got into England. Now, every logical fan, pundit, and crocodile is backing Italy to beat Spain but if there's one thing we have learned, Lal, in this tournament is that logic is for losers. Logic doesn't work. In fact, Italy and Spain, they're in semi-final. That already defies all pre-tournament logic, because Italy hadn't even qualified for 2 back-to-back tournaments, and these fuckers were already in turmoil, and everybody had COVID in their team. I'm talking about Spain. Now, certainly Italy are favorites given how they played against Belgium, but then before the match before that, they were shit. So people have very short-term memory, and Spain barely beat Swiss. So people are like, oh, they barely beat by the skin of their teeth. But Switzerland actually beat France, and Spain has shown that they can score heavily. They've just scored 5 goals, and they've recently scored 6 against Germany. Okay, now, so there's no logic to anything. On that day, how you'll perform and some luck factor comes into play. Now, again, I'll ask you the same question. Please be Italian coach, then be the Spanish coach, or the other way around, and tell me how you will beat the opposition. And by the way, Mancini is listening to you, so please speak in slowly and speak in sight like an Italian person. Okay, and get your cigar on.
Yeah. Firstly, I think both these teams are highly decorated international teams, especially in the Euros. Both have big histories in terms of how successful they are. So it will be a cracking game, to say the least. If I was Mancini, I would keep my game plan simple. Again, as I said, Spinazzola is out, so I wonder whether Emerson will come in or who will fill that gap, and how will their left side attack look like. But assume that someone comes in and fills in the gap. Spanish teams will play with a lot of possession, and Italians have a lot of pace. It might work in their favor, by the way. It's not because of like the recent momentum that I'm saying Italy are the favorites, because the way Spain plays, I think it suits the Italians. They are great at defending and soaking up pressure, but at the same time, now as compared to the previous Italian teams, they have this great pace up front and good attacking players. So they will play on the counter attack. And if I was Mancini, I think I would stick to that game plan. Not that Italians are a bad team or a small team that they have to play on the counter, but I think the way Spain sets up and plays, I think playing on the counter attack will suit them. So that would be my game plan for Italy. And Spain, I think the biggest problem for Spain is they lack a cutting edge in front of the goal, as we've been saying through our analysis, through the tournament. Whether it's Morata or Moreno, whoever comes in, they just lack finesse in front of the goal. And that's my biggest worry going into this team, into this match for Spain. They just barely scraped through Switzerland, but you also have to remember they barely scraped through against Croatia. They scored like 2 in extra time, and it looks flattering that they scored 5 goals. But it's just that who will score for them? I have no confidence in Morata, although he's looking sharper than what he looked like in the group stages. But yeah, I mean, it's 60-40 towards Italy in my mind for this game, but it'll be a cracking game.
All right, fair enough. Okay, we're just going to take 5 seconds to tell about a sponsor. We finally found a sponsor. It's Melody. It has cocaine in it, and it's only suitable for children under 7. For over 7, please just eat cocaine directly. All right, so the sponsor is gone. I want you to go out on a limb, Paul, and please tell me that who is going to win the Euro at this stage, because we love making you look like an idiot. Plus also you're renegading and going to ESPN, making a lot of money, which will be taken by the Czech Republic eventually. But right now, please say a name that eventually we can laugh at you once the new pundit comes in and out. It's like, look at the other pundits, just got everything wrong. It was just
I think you are setting me up for failure throughout this series.
That is my job. That is what I don't get paid for.
Yeah, it's like my head. I mean, logic, as you said, logic is for losers.
I know what you're going to say already, but yeah, let me see if you say the same thing which I'm thinking.
I think I think Italy will go all the way and win it.
I knew it. That's why I was showing the eye finger. I knew you'll pick them. Yeah. Both of us going to look like idiots now because now people have said you were also thinking the same thing.
Yeah, maybe Denmark wins it, and then all of us are proven wrong.
I won't be surprised. I don't be surprised because they're against England. England are like, they might just lose.
Yeah, they might
right.
choke at Wembley.
They might just choke. Anything is possible. Denmark goes after them, goes with like solid plan because as you were saying that if Denmark, like it's the energy thing because why they are in semi-final, not because they're a great team, but because what happened to Eriksen and everybody's just giving 5-10% extra. So if they go out to win, that's the time they're going to win. But if they go out to play like Denmark, they will not win.
If they are able to silence the 60,000 crowd and get the crowd against England, if they score the first goal, and all these young players will be nervous playing against 60,000 and you never know. That's why scoring the first goal and silencing the crowd is going to be super important for Denmark.
And still not park the bus because keep at it because they have scored 4 goals in a game, right? Multiple times, right? So if they keep at it, it'll be difficult. Let England score 2, like win 3-2 or something. Just go at it completely. So that because England will eventually score if you just like, particularly if they end up scoring in the 23rd minute, England will eventually score in like 70 odd minutes, right? So that will not be a good idea. Eventually Denmark will get nervous. Now, if people have already gone through this podcast right now, I'm just completely going to go non sequitur and ask you a question which should not be a part of this podcast. That have you 2 questions, one short question, one long question. Have you played football in college or school? I haven't, or competitive at any level. And why do you love football more than your wife? That's exactly what I said, more than your wife.
Okay, I think now you are just getting
talk about scandal. Now they're ruining your life also.
Yeah, I know. Now you are getting me thrown out of my house also. So, anyways, I'll answer the first question first. I have played a little bit of football in school, but I was very bad at it. I never got picked in the final, those inter school or state level tournaments because they were always better player than me. I didn't have pace, so I wasn't very good at it. But yeah, I did give it a try. I was probably slightly better at cricket than football anyways. In fact, surprise, I was a hockey player. I did play hockey and I represented my school at the state level and all that. So I think that's a surprise when I tell that to people.
I did not know that. I had no clue. Yeah. But I totally understood when you were slower because you always walk very slower, even when you were very young. Like I met you when you were 20, I think. So in 2006, you were probably 20. Yeah. Pace is not your friend. So you were like this casual Harry Maguire younger guy. So that was that. So then why do you love it? It's the second question then. Yeah.
I think it's just something that I picked up while I was in school. I was 12 or 13 and it started with Man United. At that time they were in their pomp in the late 90s and somehow I got drawn, and that's how I got introduced to football, and then it has been a journey ever since then. And of course once I got a flavor of it, then World Cups and things like that. So there is something romantic attached to football, especially in international football, in World Cups and knockout tournaments, that it just draws your attention. There is something magnetic to it because it's so unpredictable, and you've been saying right throughout the tournament, right? It's such a hard thing to win a knockout tournament at the international level. There are 100 teams and it's just crazy. Like, it's very difficult to win a knockout tournament. And that's very fascinating. And I think coming to your second question, why do I love it more than my wife? I think that's not true. In fact, I bonded over...
You're going to say that, of course, on camera.
No. In fact,
what else are you going to say?
I think I've told you before.
Even Elon Musk will say exactly right after beating his wife, and even the Chocolate Charlie Factory guy, whatever, Johnny Depp, he beats his wife, he still says, I can't. Yeah.
I think I've told you this. I think when I met my wife in college,
yes, you have.
We bonded over football. I think that's my first interaction. That's how we became friends. So she was a big United, and then transferred to being a Liverpool fan. So we've had our hot arguments and debates on football, and we've bonded over football. Of course, now she's not into it. She's lost touch a little bit. I continue to follow it, but yeah, we bonded over football. So
Yeah, fair enough. No, I totally understand, because she's also united. Because if you heard recently, or you did not, but Amir Khan just and Kiran Rao just recently divorced couple of days ago, and they put out a statement that it's very amicable. But the truth is that he's a United supporter and she's Chelsea supporter. It worked out for 15 years, but it can't work for lifetime. It's just not going to work. So don't marry Chelsea supporters. That's the way it is. So that was not very good. So on that note, so we all know that Italy is going to win according to Paul. So that means start putting your money on everybody else. That's how you're going to win some money. That's how everybody's been winning money, Paul. Whoever is following us, like whatever this guy says, just put it. And by the way,
Bikram has been following my advice and he's now bankrupt, I think.
He's probably banked. He's so much in debt. That's why he's just like, he actually thought something will win. So eventually he wanted to get Paul Pogba for his team in Asansol. You have not watched our old podcast. We found some Bihari team and they were like, we will buy Lionel Messi and Harry Kane. And then we had this picture. I think he'll not be able to put the picture right now, but later on when you watch the podcast, he will put the picture, because we have this picture. You just die laughing of this team. Like they're just sitting there, like posing with this entire team, and just add Lionel Messi and Harry Kane on that. So yeah, let's wait out. We'll be back right before the final, and we'll see what happens in this. At the end, I just want a good game. I just don't want a 4-0. I mean, it just looks sad. That's all. But that had some fun as well. But I just want a cracker of a game, and I don't want people to miss 3 penalties in a row. But it is what it is. But whatever it is, this Euro has been as good as it gets, and I'm really thankful. And Lionel Messi is playing so amazing on that side, but nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Messi and Neymar.
Messi and Neymar, nobody cares, but he's been playing really, really well apparently. So I watched the highlights. It's like only Messi highlights. Everything he's doing himself crazily. So yeah, on that note, cool. Keep watching, and we'll be back right before the finals and just after the finals, and diagnosing everything, getting everything wrong as always. Take care. We're Blunt Bastard. This is Paul the Octopus, even if he says he's not. Take care. Bye-bye. And Bikram,
bye.
Doing a good job again. Bye-bye.